All I want to do is a zoom, 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 and a boom, boom. Just shake your rump. The only rump shaking going on today is shaking off all those profits. Whoop, downtown to Chinatown again on this Monday, December 16th, 20 and the 24, 3:14 p.m. here in the farm fields, the drizzly farm fields of Valparaiso, Indiana. Yeah, we're taking gas again today. All the positions are looking really bad. So we've got 4650 puts on TMF. That is a leveraged proxy to the TLT, the Treasury notes. So AGQ 3650 puts. Hey, that one's up 600, but still in the red because the stock is down today. What did it do today? What did it end at? 37.90. I was actually up today, 20 cents. But we're stalling and we're stagnant. We'll talk about that with the charts. $45 calls that I purchased for the TMF. When does that expire? So not this Friday, but the next one. I still feel good about that. TLT's got to be going up soon. Heard you say that before. Silver, junior silver miners got the $11 call. That's into January, so should be good there, but we're showing just huge gas right there. And GLD 245 calls. That's the leaps that I have. 20 contracts there, down 8,500. 240 strike, 30 contracts up. $200. Wow. SLV $26 calls, 40,000 shares represented in this leap, down 9,300. $27 calls, 30,000 shares represented in this leap, getting body bagged at $15,999, down to the underwater. $28 SLVs, again, leaps, 20,000 shares represented here, down $7,900 bills. And believe it or not, still up on the AGQ position. Haven't added to it. If it gets, let's see, I should have. Was it Friday? I wanted to add and I didn't. I'm going to say if it gets under 3750 again, which it could easily and maybe almost for sure will before it starts going back up, then I'll add some more shares because we're only at 3,000 shares. I love to trade AGQ. Biddy, yeah, I know. Roll your eyes. Cry me a river because that's what I've been doing. This is short Bitcoin ETF. What are you kidding me? Bitcoin's all-time high again. I know. And I'll tell you where I missed the trade and where I still have hopes that I can at least make a couple dollar bills. We'll get to that. The TMF closed at what? 44.68. My position is, wait, let's see. Currently 44.65. And I'm at 46.32. So I've got a gas face of $6,660. But today's return was $439 to the positive. So we'll be holding on dearly for that. I just got to, I'm just feeling this is the bottom. This is the local bottom. In fact, I almost bought another 1,000 shares here. I'm like, pull the trigger. Then I like spiked up here. I'm like, dang it, you missed it. Went down, wasn't paying attention. The usual stuff that goes on with a novice trader. And so what are we looking at over here? So let's look at silver. This is spot silver. I put this little graffiti on here on Friday. Worried, and I put a lot of these words up here for my own mental well-being because I was tracking these two trend lines and it broke down, and it hasn't returned yet. But am I worried? According to this, nah. So I gotta see this. I want you back in the zone, auto zone, very soon here. Still have all the faith in silver at the moment. This is silver futures. And what we want to do is hold the line. Do. Don't you threaten 29. Yeah, 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 yeah. So will we get to 30? Well, it's trying, isn't it? It's already had 1, 2, 3 different attempts. Snuck through on this wick, but I don't count that because we had a nice move up after it, but we've got two more tests here. Will it test the third before popping up here? And this 5 is, yeah, that's probably an accurate. Still looking at 36 plus on the next moves, but how long before we get there? Because this meandering could go on for a while. That's what silver likes to do, tease me a little bit. Gold, I'm just looking at this. We'll call it a triangle. And this is the daily. So this is the daily chart. Will it fall all the way down and test? I don't know. I mean, it easily could. I don't see it getting into the 25s at this moment. Currently at 26.52. So a little bit more action here, and then we should break out of this upper trend line and then turn this thing around as we head up to 3,000. TLT. Whoa. I move this pivot box down basically from here just to encapsulate what I am now calling the local bottom. And we've got two tests of that local bottom if we have indeed put the bottom in. Got to fill this gap, and then we have to fill this gap. And I'm hoping that we move on our way this week. So this is Monday. And did we bottom here? And we've had a nice little meander since. That's my thesis. Because as traders, that's what we want to do. We want to buy our own baloney. Bitcoin, this whole chart is, I mean, now look, we got it right. I just got the trade wrong. I did not exit when I should have because I've changed nothing. I'm going to clean this whole thing up before tomorrow. But if you were around watching the videos, then you remember this pivot box hold 94.3, or is it still on there yet? Or pivot or downtown to Chinatown, and it went all the way down to the bottom of that box, and it did we held exactly 94.3. Then it made an aggressive move up. When it got here, I was like, all right, this is gonna be an ABC finish up to 3. And I was trying with the short to play this B wave down. I got it, but I didn't get out. Did not get out. So now I'm going to move this 3. Let's take this. We're going to take this ABC out and you see target 106 plus in that move. It made that move, but it went to 107,890 or 828. So we'll move this 3 here. Now, no, don't follow any of this. You know, I've been whiff kittying, swinging and missing on Bitcoin. So do not follow any of this action. We got the 96. So now, I mean, we got the target of 106. So we can pull that off. But now I am looking for an ABC for a 4 to get down in here. And this box is pretty wide, but that's what I've learned with Bitcoin is you got to have a fairly wide box. So what I did was basically just followed I let's do it right now. In fact, let's take this hold off because we've already reviewed that. Leave that. Can we get the whole move in there? Yeah, I think we can. Just for this, because this makes it cloudy as far as looking at this chart. So I'll just put it on and then take it off. I'll show you why this pivot box of wave 4 is where it is. So if we roll here up to what we're calling the top of 3, then the standard Fibonacci retracements would take you to a minimum of a 38.2, which would be 102,675. 50% trace, very common, 101,084. Or if we went all the way to the bottom of this, we would catch a 99 handle. This has it at 99,492. So that's what I'm looking for next. And that's the reason I've not been stopped out of my Bitcoin short ETFs because I haven't put a stop on. I mean, an emergency stop is on, but I'm attempting to let this trade play out again because nothing goes up in a straight line. I missed my opportunity to, I should have taken the trade off here and I would have made a handful of thousands, which is way better than being down way more than a handful of thousands. What are we down here? um, about 4,500 as we speak. It has come down nicely though since I believe this local top in the three is in, as you can see. As you can see, we've had a nice little retracement, but we are looking for an end. So it needs to go A, B, C. So we can put that on. Thinking out loud. Shouldn't do that. Really shouldn't. Let's take this thing off now. But then that's where you got the box. Between these one, two, three, between these three retracement levels. So we'll take that off. I'm going to clean up this, probably take the moving average out as well, just for my own visual purposes, because it gets a little too convoluted for me. Then it confuses me, or it just upsets me visually. I like it to be clean and be telling a story that's in my head or confirming a story that's in my head. Does that make sense? Yeah, it does. It makes a sense. Do we want to take the 50 off? Let's do this. I think that this move is this A should break through this moving average. So this moving average will come down a little bit tomorrow. The A should breach it, maybe pop right back up above it, and then bring it down, threatening into this box. So I'm going to leave that the 50-day moving average up for now. We'll just move that right here. I'll just put an ABC on for fun. And again, that's just for visual purposes and an estimation of where this might go. If it shows that it's still going to extend in the three, then I'm just going to bail out. I'll just lick my wounds, bail out, add that to the large number of losses that we are tracking for our tax purposes. So when I say tax purposes, then it makes me feel better mentally. Okay, looking at oil, ugh, triangle again. This is what we had on the board, and you saw we made a couple different tranches of dollar bills. USO via the UCO, which is a 2 times exaggerated move, 2 times leveraged exposure to the United States Oil Fund. What the heck? TLT had some real nice green candles going up into closing, and just after closing, that had a couple of ugly red ones. Squirrel. So is this three still trying to play out? Will there be a lower two? I think we definitely caught the one. I think this is the two. I don't think we're going to get lower than that right now. So this move here, what it needs to do if it's going to continue in this three is we need to take out this one, which is around, we'll call it 79.90. Take that out. We'll confirm that this is indeed the local bottom at two. But until then, I mean, this thing could keep meandering. Oil's been very difficult to trade lately. So Bravo's research on X, not sure if I follow so many X accounts since I've become, air quotes, a trader, because I'm still in my infancy of learning. This is my second year of trading. So novice, I'm thinking by the end of next year, I might have a pretty good grasp of at least how I am going to be able to trade. I've had a nice little run, even though we're downtown to Chinatown the last few days. This will still should show still over 30% for the year. Where are we at? Yeah, 30.22%. It was as high as like 37%. So we're up 579,000 for the year, just over 30%. I'm hoping to still finish. I would imagine we still have enough time for this to finish at like 33% or higher. So we'll be looking at that. But like, for instance, what is this? Something else. Bravos research. I mean, this is not a good sign, right? Job openings declining rapidly. So we're going to keep an eye on that. That's why I kind of think we got a smoke and mirrors economy being turned over from the Biden camp to the Trump camp. We'll see. Hope I'm wrong. Following some auctions here. Never bid against me. What's I going to show? I was going to show you something cool on here. Let me just sort of try to find it real quick. Don't get dizzy. Where are you at? Let's go back a page. I'll only keep you another second. There we go. Okay. Not the hockey. Let's just look at this one. So this is from 1985 baseball. OPC is basically Tops, but the Canadian version of Tops. Tops is, if you're ever heard of baseball or football cards, you've definitely heard of Tops. This is an uncut sheet of baseball cards from 1985. So I was showing this to Lady Crafts a lot, and I said, what if I was able to win a few of these uncut sheets at auction? Would you be able to then glue them to some backing, put them in a frame, and then I can hang them up behind me? You see that old whiteboard behind me that I've been rolling with for 20 some years when I used to do real estate all the time? I'm going to get that board out of here and get a bunch of cool stuff behind me on the wall. I've got a bunch of cool stuff in front of me, but you can't see that. And I love looking at those things. So I thought this would be a really cool addition to the trading room. There's Andre Dawson, one of my favorites of all time. Ryan Sandberg. We got all these guys are guys that I grew up with watching. So tracking some of those auctions over here. Oh, here's another one, Greg Morris cards. I get a lot of vintage cards from Greg Morris. So if you ever have interest in any of this, a very trusted source on eBay is Greg Morris. One of the things I love that he does is he'll pre-grade the cards. So he's calling this Walter Payton rookie card, that RC stands for rookie card, near mint to mint or better. I like this or better. So I like when he says that. Now, again, he's just given his professional opinion, because once the grading company gets a hold of it, anything can happen. But currently the bid is $435. There's 7 hours to go. Now, this is what I would do in this scenario, because I really would want a little bit better centered. You see how you've got a thicker border on the right compared to the left? I would love to have a little bit more centered Walter Payton as far as the all-time collection is concerned, but I would consider making a run at flipping this card. Don't tell anybody that, and don't you try to outbid me. And let's just do a quick scenario of what I would do here. So near mint or better, what does that mean? So you go over to PSA. PSA is the most popular grading. I think it's professional um, sports authentication. Is that the name? I think it is. PSA just, it's like the, I don't know, Tiffany of sports card grading. There's two main companies. I wouldn't use any other. PSA or SGC would be the only ones I would use. So this is a PSA 8, which there's that near mint to mint designation. This is the world famous 1952 Mickey Mantle. If you had this in an 8, you'd be sitting on a lot of money. So I would say, okay, so that's how you would determine what this nonsense means. So that would be the grade of the card as a qualified projection from Greg Morris Cards. Confirmed it over at PSA, and then we would go here and I'd look it up. So there's a 1976 Topps Walter Payton PSA 8. What are people asking? So here's one up for bids. This would be the most relevant. Anything that ends in bids is the most relevant, not for the seller, but for the buyer. So I would look at, I don't have time to watch this thing end, but I can peruse through. So there's one for 1,000. Here's another one for 1,000. 1,200 with no bids on it. 4 days to go. $1,150 or best offer. But from my real estate background, the only thing that really matters now, here they're like, wait, here's one for 77.25, and that's a PSA 8, right? It is, but it has an OC designation, which means it's off center. So the front, I would immediately say that the top to bottom is the off centering, and we should really be able to see it on the back. So if we click through, you can see how high or how small that top border is. And then you can see we got miscut on the top and on the right side of the back. You can see the miscut where it is not centered, but you can also see what incredible condition it is Sharp corners, good coloring, not horrible, but that designation is not what collectors want. Let's go back to search. But how I would refine this to give me a real better understanding of what these actually sell for, I'd scroll down here and click sold items. Now, this is like looking through as a real estate agent on the sold section of the multiple listing service. It's one thing for what somebody asked for, it's another for what they get. So here is a good one. 21 bids, ended at $923. 16 bids, 861, 870, 398 on the miscut. Okay. I would have paid that. I would have paid 398 because look at the eye appeal. The eye appeal is just that. What does this thing look like as far as eye appeal? Now the coloring is probably not as good as this one, but for 398 in an 8, I would do that. I wasn't tracking it at that moment. 950, 847, 845. Okay, and grading costs $20 is all you're typically going to pay in a grade. So if we know we can get, let's call it 1,000, it costs $20, which becomes negligible in this scenario. What we would be comfortable with paying for this card? So what I always do is I'll look one grade lower just to see what's the floor. What do I think the floor is if I then get a 7? And this is where it gets dangerous. Now, that's not that's not a PSA, even though they have it marked as PSA. So disregard that one. Um, PSA 7, 602, PSA 7, 536. So I would take probably an average of the last, in this case, the last 5, which would put me at, let's say, 550. So that tells you how razor thin it can get, because this goes to 550 on auction, which it probably will go higher because he's got it at near mint or better. But you can easily expect the possibility of swinging down to a 7. But what if you went as high as a 9? Because this, and I don't think you're going to get a 9 with this centering. But if you say you went as high as a 9, because it did say near mint, mint, or better, that could be a 9. And then you're seeing, what's this? It's a PSA 4. See, that's so rare to see a 9 that there isn't even any recent solds of a 9. Let's see if there's any active for sale 9s. Nope, there's a 6. Here's an 8 for $24.95. You're not going to get that unless some psychopath buys it. Here's another 8 for $1,400. So I wouldn't expect a 9 there, but there's always an opportunity that it can be higher than what Greg Morris has it at. But I always also look a grade lower just to see where I can be protected. You just spent 10 minutes talking about football and baseball cards. I thought you were going to tell us about stocks. We've already gone over that. So thanks for tuning in. We got to you saw where we were at. What was the highest I wrote down here? 2.609, but we were as high as, and actually on the track one moment, it was on December 11th, it flashed the 2650 for like a minute, because these leaps move so aggressively. So the next move up, again, you're going to see an all-time high of 2.63 and higher, but we only have the 2.609 on the board. So you can see how fast or how much we've come off that since. So let's look at like even just 1 week will show a big, huge drop. Yeah. 1 week we're down over nearly $105,000. But that's the capitulation. That's the variation. That's the swings that can go on in a portfolio like this. But thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, comment, share with a lovable friend, and I will see you in the next video.